Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And I'd also like to thank you for taking the time and effort of networking this video and our content and our website, davejanda.com, to all those you know and love. The foundation, the superstructure of davejanda.com, of which the Operation Freedom Radio Show is a component of. The foundation is based on truth and fact and data and, when needed, science. Which is why our foundation is constantly targeted by the syndicate. See, their role is to keep you misinformed, disinformed, and completely uninformed because it makes you an easier target for their freedom-stripping agenda. And ours is in direct contradistinction to that, to keep you informed with solid facts, solid data, solid information, and put you ahead of their curve. You might say, hey, Dave, what's with the outfit today? Not in your sport coat. I'm not. My outfit is in support and acknowledgement of the national champion University of Michigan football team. As many of you know, I'm based in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor, the home of the University of Michigan, the People's Republic of Ann Arbor. And we call it that for a reason. It's actually factually based. It's not a cut. It's actually true. We also call it Ann Arbor, Moscow on the Huron River. But the University of Michigan had a pretty big accomplishment this past week. I've been in Ann Arbor. I came here 40 years ago when I started my internship and residency, and I remained in the Ann Arbor community for that long. Wonderful people, actually. Wonderful organizations. And an environment that, yeah, at times can be very, very difficult if you're a freedom-based individual to deal with, but still well worth the effort to keep trying to educate and empower as many people as possible. So many people give up trying to educate and empower. You know, their minds are closed. Oh, they're just pushing me away. Understand, one of the things, and I got 40 years into this community, right? And I can tell you that there are people that when I started the radio show hammered me. A conspiracy theorist. This is wrong. This is unpatriotic that you're taking on exposing the government and exposing the state legislature and governors and this and that. And you go after Republicans and you go after Democrats and you do go why. Many of those same people have since come to me and said, you planted some seeds in my mind with your information that I actually knew would not grow from those seeds. But in fact, with time and with developments that you said were going to occur that actually occurred that I didn't think had any chance of occurring, those seeds that you planted years ago sprouted and grew. And now I'm here to tell you. They tell me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I spoke ill of you. I'm sorry I demonized you. I'm sorry I made fun of you. I've even had a couple people say, I'm sorry I threatened you. Okay. Is that everybody? No. But everybody to some degree is waking up. Might not be to the level we like, but they're waking up. So please don't discount your efforts and all the time and effort you've put in to try to educate and empower people. I did a segment recently on this national championship because it goes beyond a football game or a football team, and it truly is a team, Team 144, the 144th football team program in Michigan. Beyond a coach, it really has to do with speaking truth to power and truth to the money interests, exposing the money interests, trying to close down their money spigot to make sure that that money is being distributed to the people who do the work. And that's why the University of Michigan football program, and specifically Jim Harbaugh, the coach, has been targeted. I have a 40-year relationship with the university and with the football program because as an orthopedic surgery resident, you have the opportunity, and actually the highlight of my 5-year residency program in orthopedic surgery at the university was being on the sports service and interacting and being able to take care of the athletes. And in particular, a lot of my time was with the football program. And the football program, at that point, the coach was the legend Bo Schembechler, who I found to be an extremely wonderful person. Tough, but wonderful. And a really great coach, but an even better person. Also, when I came here 40 years ago, the star quarterback of the University of Michigan was a guy by the name of Jim Harbaugh, the guy who's now the coach. And, you know, it's interesting when I see him portrayed around the country, because the topic of today's presentation is actually going to be about lies. The student athlete I met in 1984, when he broke his arm trying to recover a fumble that one of his other teammates had fumbled the ball. Actually, it was at Michigan State. It was in October 1984. The student athlete I met then and dealt with then was exactly similar to the Harbaugh today. Very straight up, no nonsense. Confident. Separate that from cocky. Confident. And willing to say things that others might not say. And I'm going to take that radio segment I did last week that got a lot of feedback, positive feedback, even from people in Ohio, where the Ohio State University is based. A lot of positive feedback from around the country because we have listeners in all 50 states, people that listen on the internet live free. You go to davejanet.com, Sundays 2 to 5. Or around the world. And they listen either through the internet or download the podcasts that are part of amongst many other shows that we do on our subscription side of the platform. But they said, I had no idea. I thought this was about a football game, but this was about more than that. This is all about money interests and money laundering, and this was I had no idea. But meanwhile, the lies that are perpetrated by the syndicate, whether it's about war or about the economy or about this or the border or the environment or climate change or a football team or a football coach are based on lies. And that's what our platform does. We try to, if you will, push those lies away and give you the information so you can do further research and you have a foundation based on facts and data and truth and, when needed, science. And today, so we're going to do that next week about what's really going on, right? With speaking truth to power and kind of linking in the whole national championship thing. But today I want to focus on the economy of lies by the cult, by the dictator, in this case, who we call Il Demente, right? Let's go back in time to the 1930s and 40s. A dude by the name of Joseph Goebbels, right? The propaganda minister, right? For the bad guys, the Nazis. Here's what he said, quote, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such a time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state," end quote. You see, their current economic lie is Bidenomics is great. The economy's perfect. Yeah, I know, your neighbor's out of work. You might be out of work. Members of your family might be out of work. All the stores at the mall might be closed. That strip mall is 90% empty. You go to the grocery store and you see a lot of people using food stamps, food cards through the government. Is all well? No, it's not. And when people start to catch on, they start to tell you, what you're seeing is not true. Stop it. Stop looking. Just listen to me. Listen to the boob tube. Listen in the financial world to CNBC. Listen to Fox Business News. Read the Wall Street Journal. Read Barron's. Listen to Bloomberg. Listen to Reuters. It's all a bunch of lies. They're all part of the cult. They're all part of the syndicate. And then when they really get panicked, they start to dictate. Don't you dare listen. And they even get mad at their little tentacle, the bought-off lamestream fake media. You need to be more, you need to push more propaganda. Frustrated Biden demands media start reporting good economic news. Right, this is the same guy. Remember that one about the whole winter of death? Remember that talk about anybody who wasn't doing this? Wow, you're going to die this winter. Remember that one? That whole demented Il Duce. Remember Il Duce, Mussolini, the fascist? Remember, we had that speech. And then we had, remember that other speech in front of the Independence Hall, right, in Philadelphia? How it bathed in blood red. Marines standing there in flags and him shaking his fist and screaming about half the country that's not willing to go along with his programs. Cult's programs. Remember that whole thing? Well, here we go again. Now he's gone. From Zero Hedge, Biden rallied against corporate media before he and several family members he went on another vacation. Before boarding the presidential helicopter, Biden was asked by one reporter, quote, "What's your outlook for the economy in 2024? Biden responded, "It's all good," adding, "Take a look. Start reporting." Then he sparked, "Start reporting it the right way." Start reporting it the right way. Okay. How about this? We've always told you from the financial side, and a good part of our platform that we've done at Operation Freedom, our radio show, for the past 13 years, we've looked at the financial side and how it links in on all these other aspects of what we're seeing around our country and around the world. And we've told you that the real virus financially is debt, DEBT. That's what will bring down the system and is bringing down the system. And it's, no, not an accident. No, not a coincidence. Willful. And it's not from incompetence. I know it's easy to look at this guy wandering around, stumbling around, mumbling around and going, everything, it's just incompetence that's going on. No, that's what they want you to think. It's the people pulling his strings. I know Obama, yeah, but it goes well above Obama. Obama, Bush's, Romney's, Clinton's, they're all middle level. It goes into the banking syndicate, World Economic Forum, Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and above them, the banking families, as we've told you. Get in trouble when we say this. Okay. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Lazards, the Pincusses, the Warburgs, the Seifs, the Loebs, and the very top of the pyramid, the Payseur family. Payseur, look it up. Debt. That's how they've rigged these buildings, financial buildings, to come down. This from Jim Quinn. The only major global power without a large debt, DEBT problem right now is Russia. Wait, no, they're in bad shape. No, when you look at their debt to GDP, gross domestic product ratio, because anything above 80 is trouble, getting in trouble. So when we look around the world, Russia's debt to GDP is 30%. Remember, 30%. They're in trouble. Well, if they're in trouble, what happens here? The European Union, 90% debt to GDP. That's not good. China, 80%. That's not that great. Japan, 220%. Oh. And good old US of A, 120%. That's not sustainable. History tells us if you're over 80%, you're house of cards coming down. As Quinn points out, that's perilous levels of debt. And the debt is still growing. These debt levels and the domestic implications of an unsustainable economies will lead shamelessly corrupt politicians and even dictators to provoke foreign conflict in order to distract the populations from their dire economic circumstances. A wag the dog type false flag is just around the corner. And our debt, DEBT, in the United States is ever growing. Right after the first of the year, the Treasury Department announced it was now $34 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars. And then you add to that, the manufacturing index contracts for 14th straight month. New orders sink. U.S. manufacturing sector slump accelerates in December. Orders are down, but prices are up. What's that called? Stagflation. We told you several years ago, got a lot of grief for this, that stagflation was coming. Folks, we have been, I get a kick out of this. Because one of my majors in college was economics. The other was chemistry. And I've continued in those interests. And the chemistry melded into my interest in medicine. And the economics interest kind of focused on my policy side of my life. Folks, when you have this much debt, as Quinn put it, it's unsustainable. The economics are not of debt that are currently in place are not consistent with a viable economy in the United States or around the world. And we're constantly told, well, there's going to be a soft landing. There's not going to be a recession. Folks, anyone telling you that is divorced from reality or is willfully lying to you. Because all you have to do is talk to your neighbor. Look at your own business. Look at your neighbor's business or the company they're associated with. Or look in the strip malls or look in the big malls or walk down Main Street or go to the grocery store. We have been in a recession for many months, and we have been in an economic depression for about a year. U.S. bankruptcies jumped 18% in 2023. This from Naveen Athropoli from the Epoch Times. Final third quarter GDP, personal consumption revised sharply lower. Why? Because we're in a depression, an economic depression. Not only, a lot of people are in but economic depression. Philly Fed flops, new orders plunge, as prices paid jump. Can you say stagflation? Quote, this is off the charts, end quote. Economist claims 2024 will bring the biggest crash of our lifetime in the United States. An economist who focuses on consumer spending has issued a dire warning about the United States economy for the coming year. Again, this is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. It's not because of incompetence. This is what they have planned. Which is why I keep telling you, protect yourself. Since 2000, quote, since 2009, this has been 100% artificial, this entire economy. Unprecedented money printing and debt and deficits. 27 trillion over 15 years to be exact. This is from Harry Dent. Quote, this is off the charts, 100% artificial, which means we're in a dangerous state. I think 2024 is going to be the biggest single crash year we'll see in our lifetime, Harry Dent. U.S. national debt jumps $2.6 trillion just in the past 6 months. U.S. national debt continued to mount and is now at over $34 trillion, as I mentioned. But what is growing? From the statistics that they always fudge, the government, what's growing? Government wage growth. Is your wage going up? Not according to even the data they can even manipulate. It's not even showing across the board wage growth, but the government wage growth, their salaries are growing. Isn't that great? Americans this past year dreaded the holidays. 1 in 3 have gone into debt to pay for holiday shopping. New U.S. home sales crash. Quote, has a silent depression. Yeah, only silent because the media won't report on it because they're bought and paid for. Already started in the United States. Many Americans are working as hard as they can, but they just keep falling further and further behind. Core capital goods shipments declined. But their own puppets within the syndicate will they always give you a heads up. Hey, who's the puppet du jour from the cult talking to you now? How about the CEO of JP Morgan Chase Bank, Jamie Dimon? Globalist cult member extraordinaire, bankster extraordinaire, right? How many times has their bank been found guilty of fraudulent activities? How many hundreds of millions? I think we're up in the billions now. Dollars they paid in fines. Just listen to the interview that I've done on the radio with Helen Chapman, if you will, the top litigator against the banksters on Wall Street. From Dimon. Listen, occasionally, because he wants to be able to sit back and say, see, I told you. I'm a good guy. I told you. Not a good guy, but he did tell you. Americans are making huge mistake to believe certain booming economy narrative. It's from Tom Ozek in the Epoch Times. JP Morgan Chief CEO Jamie Dimon told a financial conference that people who assume that the U.S. economy will continue to boom for years on the back of consumer strength are making a huge mistake. And the banking system, folks, is in trouble. And that is not that is not by design. That is by design. It is willful. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. And it's not incompetence. U.S. banks suffer $1 trillion deposit loss in 2023. Oh. Yeah. So, what do you do? Well, first of all, you got to get the truth. You got it. Then you got to network it. And then you got to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself on a number of different fronts. Financially. The best financial insurance policy, listen to the people I bring to the forefront, right? Adriana Reed, Bill Holter, Craig Hemke, Trader Steph, God rest his soul, Rob Kirby, for years on our platform, told you. You got to protect yourself. Physical gold and physical silver in times of economic turmoil are a store of value, an insurance policy. The banking system is crumbling. The economy is crumbling. Their paper assets are crumbling. They want, and meanwhile, the banksters, the big boys and big women, they've all protected themselves. Oh, yeah. So when the system comes down, they'll get more power, more control, more financial resources. You'll be destitute. You'll come running to them for a solution. And their solution is equivalent to that, a financial, digital, their central bank digital currencies or their vapor paper money assets, money alternative, their special drawing rights that are based on vapor. Nothing. No. Protect yourself. And when the system, financial system crumbles further, supply chains are going to further deteriorate. Storable food, storable water, medical supplies at home. And a means of protecting yourself and your family. The dictator's economy is a house of cards. It's a house of lies. Stop buying into it. Network this information. I thank you for joining me today. Until next time, Dave Janis signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Extra shows, content, guest analysis, archives to all of our shows. Tremendous amount of free content at davejanda.com. But where the real meat of the matter is on issues and depth I cannot go into on any social media platform or on the radio because of the choke points in the FCC are at davejanda.com. 30 cents a day. $9 a month. Try it for a month. And once you try it, you'll like it. And you'll realize how much it helps you because it puts you months, years, and in some cases, decades ahead of the curve. Until next time, Dave Janis signing off. Thank you for joining me today.